Konnichiwa minasan and welcome back to VHS. I'm your host Jesse, and today we're taking a look back at arguably the greatest achievement in the history of Japanese animation, AKIRA. Is this red motorcycle still the coolest thing on two wheels? Are these kids using the right type of moisturizer? And most importantly, is the groundbreaking, highly influential masterpiece known as AKIRA still worth watching today? Well, let's find out. It's the Hollywood Holdup featuring AKIRA. Okay, couple items before we get started. First, if you enjoy the video, please like it, hit that subscribe button, come along the journey with us, we'd love to have you. Second, spoiler warning. This is a spoiler-filled video, and it's brought to you by everyone's favorite otaku, Producer Craig. So say hey to Producer Craig in the comments, would you? Or, I don't know, where do you do that? Text him? Do you have Craig's number? Can I have Craig's number? Okay, one last thing. Now, if you are a student of this film, or anime in general, you may have noticed something about my pronunciation already. It's old and out of date. You see, I grew up on the 1980s English dub of this movie, which is why I say AKIRA, not AKIRA. But to be clear, AKIRA is correct. I also say Kaneda. Well, actually, what I say is Kaneda! You see where I'm going with this? So if y'all can do me a favor and just ride with my old man pronunciations, I promise you this video experience will be much smoother, and I also promise we will address the pronunciation issue in a later category. Cool? We cool? You guys are the best. And now the movie in a minute. Yeah, right. We're gonna have to be super reductive about this. Here we go. You've actually seen this story a bunch of times. The government was experimenting on psychic kids. One of them, named AKIRA, went nuclear, or black hole-ier. Either way, Tokyo was completely wiped out. 31 years later, the city's been rebuilt as Neo-Tokyo, and there's like biker gangs roaming around, a lot of protests. It's pretty chaotic. Our hero, Kaneda, runs the good guy biker gang, which includes his diminutive buddy slash punching bag, Tetsuo. Tetsuo runs into this psychic kid, literally, and I have no time to explain. He gets whisked off to the military hospital, where all this psychic kid research is going down. Turns out Tetsuo shows signs of being a strong psychic himself, so the military starts pumping him full of drugs and roasting him on a spit, kind of. Anyway, Kaneda tries to rescue Tetsuo, he gets caught up with these anti-government cats, they get shot at, oh yeah. Long story short, these psychic kiddos trick Tetsuo into going to find AKIRA himself, basically to help with his new powers, which are going haywire. But Tetsuo discovers AKIRA actually died way back in the day, and it's just his organs left in jars now. And Tetsuo's powers are officially out of control. Kaneda does some really fancy laser work, Tetsuo goes State Puff Techno-Organic Man, and ultimately the little homies revive AKIRA and disappear with Tetsuo in another big ol' explosion that reshapes the city. Time for Neo-Tokyo. Now on to the categories. Category 1, Gateway Anime. Listen. Don't tell Craig, but I don't love all anime. I love the stuff I love, and there's a lot of it, but there's also a lot of stuff I just cannot connect with. So if you missed out on AKIRA because it's a cartoon, allow me to give you a brief pitch on AKIRA itself and offer a couple other recommendations that might help you get in the anime swing, as it were. First, the pitch. AKIRA is not just anime any more than Jolene is just a country song. AKIRA is film art. The story is complex and told with incredible nuance and fleet-footedness. It is dense, but you don't have to get lost in the weeds to enjoy the full effect. To put it in incredibly simple terms, the sounds and images in AKIRA are nothing short of mesmerizing. This is the kind of movie a lot of people put off watching. But then when they finally do see it, they immediately start looking for a revival in their area so they can see it on the big screen, which I highly recommend. One more tip for neophytes, just go with the flow. A lot of anime storytelling starts in the middle and fills you in along the way. If you can be patient and let it develop, I promise you AKIRA will make sense. But more than that, it will satisfy. Here are a couple more recommendations for gateway anime for the newly initiated. Anyone who has more recs, please feel free to put them down in the comments. We're all here to help. Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll is very simple to follow, and it's almost wall-to-wall hyper ninja fights. Amazing Street Fighter style anime story. And it's very violent, very cool. Spirited Away. Simply the sweetest and most disorienting coming-of-age tale I've ever seen, Spirited Away broke through to the Western mainstream when it was nominated for Best Animated Film in 2001. Even the squares can dig it. Cowboy Bebop. My personal favorite anime series of all time. I recommend it because it has a unique style that doesn't scream Japanese cartoon in any way. It's centered around a quartet of compelling, complex characters, and it's limited to 26 episodes, so it's not that much of a commitment. Category 2, The Bomb. What's it all about, that Akira? I hear that a lot. I hear that from people who have seen the movie more than once. The short answer is, of course, The Bomb. Nuclear weapons and their consequences. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II were so devastating that Japanese culture and worldview will forever be shaped by them, and Akira is just one example. Before we hit specifics, I'm reminded of a Hollywood counterpoint that can help explain how little Westerners can understand the impact of the bombing on the Japanese people. One of Stanley Kubrick's greatest films is the satirical war comedy Dr. Strangelove. But do you remember the subtitle to that film? It's How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. This is satire only a Westerner, or certainly a non-Japanese writer, would employ. As Westerners, we learned to fear the possibility of the bomb, but we've never felt the impact of it on our own people. So while Westerners can fantasize about the bomb in cheeky or satirical ways, what you get from Japanese art is much more severe, overwhelming, and desperate for answers. But this theme plays out on a couple different levels, so let's first address the more direct metaphor. While the opening suggests that Tokyo was nuked out of existence and that began World War III, we find out through the course of the film that there was no attack on Tokyo. No bombing, anyway. In fact, the explosion was an accident caused by the government trying to push the psychic capability of children, called espers, that they were studying. Tying Akira and the other espers to the idea of the bomb going off is a brilliant way of illustrating the film's theme. It doesn't matter if it's a nuke or a psychic kid being tortured into exploding. The problem is the men playing with power that they cannot control. But that's the opening of the movie. The rest of the story takes place 31 years later in Neo-Tokyo. The bad guys have already unleashed the bomb. So what is the deeper metaphor at play here? I read a ton of opinions on this, both from published articles and also just randos on the internet. You can find some good discussions of this on Reddit for sure, and one post I found there encapsulates the film's metaphor in a way that really made sense to me. Kaneda, Tetsuo, even the young espers still controlled by the government, these children are a new generation born into the world after the previous generation destroyed it. And the adults of the world have no idea how to contain this new generation's confusion, mistrust, and rage at the world they're faced with. The chaos of the biker gangs. The espers plan to escape and take Akira's power away from the government. Tetsuo losing control over his insecurities and his own personality as his powers spill out of him. And all the while, the old men with guns chase them around trying to control them and the future. Just like they always have. Just like they always will. No matter the consequences of their actions. Category 3. You say Kaneda. I say Kaneda. Like I said in the opening, I say all the names in Akira wrong, but it's not my fault. I grew up on the 80s English dub. The movie was re-released with more accurate pronunciations and a whole lot of other changes to the dialogue in the early 2000s, but by then, it was too late for me. Kaneda! You hear how good that sounds? Honestly, all the dialogue could be replaced by characters shouting Tetsuo and Kaneda at each other with raw emotion, Tetsuo! And you would fully understand what was happening. Kaneda! But now to the actual point of this segment. You cannot go wrong with either dub, to say nothing of watching it in the original Japanese with subtitles, which I have never done. But let me pitch you on one reason you might consider watching the original 1980s dub despite its ignorant Western pronunciations. Kaneda! Akira was released in 1988. All of the animation and production techniques come from that era. which means the dialogue was recorded on 1980s microphones in 1980s recording studios. While rewatching Akira for this video, I was toggling between the different dubs to compare, and for my ear, the original 1980s English dub genuinely fits into the movie better. The 2000s dub sounds too clean to my ear. The lines delivered too crisply. And none of the voice actors have the weirdness and character of the originals. Here's a couple examples and a caveat. It's not fair to the 2000 redub actor for Kaneda because he's going up against Cam Clark, the originator of Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles cartoon. But he is.
Huh? You mean me? Kay's cousin? Well, no. I mean, actually, I guess we're kind of boyfriend and girlfriend, but...
Who's this? Well, I guess by saying I'm Kay's boyfriend, it's stretching it a bit.
Blast it! That's not fair! Fight like a man!
Ah, damn it! It ain't fair, Tetsuo! Fight with your bare hands!
I'll leave it there. No wrong answers, I just wouldn't dismiss the OG dub even with all its faults. Old man rant over. The verdict. So, does Akira hold up to a modern viewing? I mean, it totally does, but with Akira, it's not so much a question of if it holds up, it's more of a question of that animation barrier for some viewers. And I will fully admit that even modern animation enjoyers may find the opening few frames a little stilted compared to what they're used to, but I promise that melts away almost immediately. And once you're in it, you will marvel at the visuals. The one bummer for some people might be the same problem they have with all influential storytelling from the past. You've seen this story a bunch by now. The underlying bomb metaphor stuff very closely parallels other famous anime, such as Neon Genesis Evangelion, Attack on Titan, the list goes on. But I don't have to make the same old, but this one came first argument. None of that matters. Because Akira is singular. Ain't nobody else got that bike slide and that laser shot and that Tetsuo monster and those flying bike things. Come on. And none of those other shows or movies have this soundtrack.
Roger.
Akira holds up. Akira should be in a museum. And you should be there watching it. So there you have it. The Hollywood holdup featuring Akira. See, I can learn. We're plotting a course into the future here at Season 3, and we hope you'll join us. Until next time, we live here, only on VHS. Take 'em home, Greg-san.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, and please like and subscribe. Check out more of our videos. Leave a comment. Or don't. You do you.